Welcome to the Beyond Wellness podcast. I'm here today with Jessica Valentine of The Wild Spirit. She is a sound healer and a wellness coach. Thank you for joining me today, Jessica.
Thanks for having me, Rose. I'm excited to be here to talk about sound.
I'm excited to have you here too. Sound is such a different kind of, it's a different animal, hey? It's one of those things that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with, and I don't think a lot of people have experienced it. Well, they probably have experienced it, but they might not have known that they have. Have you run into that before?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit, what is sound healing?
Yeah. So sound healing, in our modern day context, is a way in which you can experience somatic healing. You can access emotions, memories, and you can also really experience restorative rest, which is actually one of my favorite ways of sharing sound with people. So sound healing comes from a lineage of ancient practices in which sound was used to activate the senses, to go into trance, to speak and commune with a spirit, right? With ancestors, with nature, and it is so rich and so deep and goes so far back. I mean, I feel like I could get lost in sound for the rest of my life and barely even like touch on the source of it, you know. So for sound healing, you can access it in a variety of ways, through the voice, through different instruments, Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls, flute, swing chimes. There's so many ways to access sound. So the way I share it in today's context is usually through a restorative rest experience. People are laying down, either in like a private one-to-one session with me or in a group setting. And I weave a variety of instruments together with the intention of supporting people to really come into a state of rest within their central nervous system. That's really where I start. And it can go deeper as well. But primarily that's where I start with people. Beautiful gongs, chimes. I love koshi chimes, crystal bowls. I've been working on playing the flute more. So really it's a weaving of instruments that creates a sensory experience for people, with different intention, really. And I think that comes from the lens of the practitioner and who is sharing the sound for like what is available to people, really. So yeah, that's a little bit. Like I said, I could go on about sound, so I'll try not to go too far, too fast. Yeah.
How does sound, let's just say in context of shifting emotion, how does it help you to access something that you've been holding? And then how does it help you to like allow it to move and shift through?
Yeah. Wow. That's a really big question. And I'm so into this, exploration.
This is the important stuff, right?
This is the super juicy stuff. Yeah. Like, how do we get to that place?
Right.
And so maybe a good place to start was I would love to share a little bit about my journey with sound and how I fell in love with sound, because the two are woven together. So for me, my love of sound started with healing for myself. I had a really, really hard time growing up, from a very young age. And for me, trauma and PTSD is real. And I navigate a lot of emotion in my body. And I actually began to access my emotions through sound for the first time when I was probably, I think I was 28. My mom died early at 26, and as a young person, totally freaked me out. And I experienced chronic pain in my body, hypersensitivity to environments, to people, to energy. You could say I was like sort of an empath in crisis. So I remember going into a place in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, called Banyan Books. And my boyfriend at the time, we were celebrating my birthday. I was like, I want to go get some pie, and I want to go to Banyan Books. Banyan Books always feels really good. I love books, and Banyan is like a metaphysical bookstore, but I didn't know they had so much more in there. So when I walked in, I kind of just started like, I was like a homing pigeon. I was like, there's something here for me. What is it? And I was like, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? And I ended up walking up to like a display case, and there was a woman behind the counter, and I was like, what are those? And I was like, I want to see those. Tell me more about those. And she pulled out a tuning fork.
Oh.
Yeah. And she activated the tuning fork for me, and she handed it to me, and I reached out and I touched I touched this tuning fork, and my whole body just went, it was like I was taking a breath for the first time in my life. My whole body just went, wow. I breathed deeply, my shoulders lifted, my throat opened, I'm getting goosebumps right now actually talking about it. It was like coming home for the first time. And it makes me super emotional actually talking about it, because that was the first time I really felt like I was in my body. And I felt right. And so the frequency of tuning fork that she handed me was the heart frequency tuning fork. And it's 136 hertz, and it is the frequency that the human heart vibrates at. So these tuning forks are like mirrors on the outside of your body that can reflect you what your true essence is, your true vibration. So when I felt that, it was like a whole world of miracles and possibilities opened up to me for healing. And I didn't even really know it at that time, like what that meant, but my body knew it before my brain did. And from there, it was obsession. That day I got a tuning fork for the heart. I also got a tuning fork for the note of C and G. And the two, when activated together, are the frequency that the human body heals at. And like I said before, I had a lot of chronic pain in my body for my entire life. And that is because I had a lot of trauma as a young person. And it was like night and day. I would activate those things like hundreds of times a day. And every time I felt better and better and better on a physical level, emotional level, and also on like a mental health level. And the thing that sound can offer us is a change in our brainwave patterns. So we change in the way that we literally process our environment. We go from, most of us are in a state of like high beta, and beta is the brainwave state in which we're like, you and I, Rose, are here talking. We're like activating our bodies, and being in discussion. And being with you always feels really good. So I feel relaxed right now, as well as like high functioning. And then there's a state in which we are operating in beta, but it's high beta, and it is not good beta. This is like the high stress level. We're driving cars, we're in traffic, we're like hyper obsessed with like missing that email or like paying the rent, whatever it is. We're functioning, we're operating, but we're stressed.
In that fight or flight kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a way you can actually like push that threshold and like go into a higher state. Um, but really and that's a good state to be in, actually, when you can like push through that ceiling of high beta and come to a different zone. Anyways, the tuning forks take us into an alpha state with the potential of going into a theta state. And this is really like, when we're going down, we're meditating, we're feeling really, really chilled out. Like this is like vacation vibes, right? And then right before
Slowing
that,
down.
you go into that state before you're sleeping. And that is like a dream state where you access the ability to create memories, to get creative, to begin to dream, right? Accessing sort of your third eye consciousness while you're waking and awake. So, tuning forks are such a great way to be able to like quickly access that and like shift, right? You don't need a Tibetan bowl or a crystal bowl or anything, get a tuning fork. And I used to drive actually into Vancouver when I was commuting with my tuning fork, and I would like activate my tuning fork on the steering wheel and just like stick it in my ear so I could like not be freaked out.
Just chill the heck out.
So anyone out there listening to this podcast today, if you want a gateway into sound healing that's super accessible, reach out to me, contact me, do some research online, get yourself a tuning fork, and you might just be in that place that I was, and your whole life might just change.
So just researching frequencies in general and what the different ones can do and the different states of mind and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like really, the question of like, how do we access our emotional state? I think primarily it is resourcing ourselves to be able to access our emotions and really set ourselves up for success. And that means like not only sound, but what you eat, what you drink, who you talk to, all of that kind of stuff. That will be supportive in accessing emotions. But sound can be like that foundation that you can be in order to prepare you for all the rest of it. It's kind of like a jumping off point, or was for me anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, accessing the frequencies, knowing what frequencies you're working with, and the space I started with was the heart chakra, my favorite place to be, and also the root chakra. So the note of C and being in the lower hertz. When people first sort of jump into sound healing, what I've experienced is going for some of those like higher hertz, higher frequencies, and that can be super yummy. It can be, what the person needs. But for me, it's that rooting down, that sense of safety, security, and rest that helped me access my emotions really for the first time. Or I should say like my full range of emotion, because I had lots of emotions, but they weren't ones that were very healthy. Sadness, anger, rage, frustration, all that stuff. And working with sound took me to a place where I felt safety, security, trust, so that I could like even think about the possibility of like accessing joy or play or like humor. So yeah, knowing where to start, I think is a key as well, right? So how do you access emotions through sound? Rooting down, grounding, note of C, 100%.
Note of C. So I guess one thing that people can do is you can just go on Spotify or go on YouTube and you can check out different frequencies of sounds. So like I think what is the lowest that you can find out there? Like 4 or 8 hertz?
It's 8. So the human hearing range is 8 hertz to 20,000 hertz.
Okay.
And that's something that people can do for sure. Spotify, there's I I don't know if I ever say it right. I should probably like Google the pronunciation or something, but binaural beats or binaural beats or um,
Binaural beats, I think.
binaural beats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I always love hearing the different pronunciations. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, you can get like brown noise or white noise or pink noise or yellow noise. You hear, that kind of language, and it's all based on hertz.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
depending upon what feels good in your body, yeah, just flipping through the different aspects of hertz. I mean, my favorite place to be in hertz is usually around like, well, when I'm like functioning and like, being a computer cat or sending emails, whatever.
yeah.
I love a good hertz of like 60 to 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy being lower down. I really enjoy,
Mm.
I really enjoy 8. And it's very,
Mm.
I don't know, it sounds alien to me, but it feels good. And I feel that I can just like it keeps my brain at this like very simple level where there's no up and down. It just like brings everything to a flat line, it feels like, and I can just concentrate or not concentrate. I can function and like move thoughts through my head a lot faster and almost
Mhm.
process them quicker and then just like put them to the side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes back to that brainwave pattern. Like, where are we at? Are we able to access information with ease? Are we able to store information with ease? And yeah, staying at that nice level place is magic for me.
Yeah. Like
Absolutely.
it's going to be different for everybody when they first start, right? So like with you
Hmm.
finding that heart chakra tuning fork, that was your secret spot in the beginning. Does it
Hmm.
still feel as good, or has it changed where you notice that that's a place that you like to be, but as you heal or shift different things, that different frequencies or different um, sound keys or whatever are
Hmm.
what you need more at that time? Is it a progressive kind of
100%.
thing? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really, really great question and inquiry. So I went from tuning forks to crystal bowls. I bought myself like a set of frosted crystal bowls. And in the beginning, I loved playing all of them. And I was like, oh, I'm curious about this, I'm curious about that. And the more I went into it, the more I felt like certain sounds really agitated me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like how they felt. I didn't like how they sounded. I was like, nope, I'm not available to that. And as the healing within me evolved, I definitely felt certain frequencies, certain notes come in and go out, come in and go out. And for the tuning fork, I love that tuning fork. It's in the note of F for the heart and 136 hertz. Um, I sold my crystal bowl in the note of F for the heart recently because I was like, I couldn't play it. It was so weird. It was agitating, actually. Um, and I felt like that was the point where I knew I was complete with that particular frequency of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And it caused a friction within me. And I don't know if that was because like I was in a higher state of vibration within my heart and that frequency of the heart was like lower. And there was like a resistance there. Um, and so it was time to move on from it. And I actually I sold it to one of my sound mentorship students, and even receiving it from her feels really good. But for me playing it, it was no longer in alignment.
Isn't that
So
interesting?
yeah, yeah. And it doesn't need to have a story or make sense. I just knew
Right.
my body was complete.
Yeah.
And that's an example of my crown chakra bowl. It was like a little one, like 6 inches. Um, I also sold my third eye bowl. Again, just a little one. And the smaller the bowl, the higher the frequency, actually.
I was
So the
just going to
bigger the
ask.
bowl, the lower. Yeah. And what I've realized is I really love being in the lower frequencies. I love being in my body. Sound brought me home to my body, where I was often outside of my body most of my life, very disassociated, very anxious, all the things. And yeah, maybe that's it. Like those tiny bowls with those higher frequencies takes me sort of into like an ejection state.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to be home here in my body. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found your space. And you must have been, were you sad when it was time to get rid of the heart chakra bowl? I
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
sometimes like I've got some crystals, right? And
Mm.
you eventually a crystal do something for you. It will be helping you. It will be healing, and then whether it be in the form of a bracelet, and then the bracelet breaks, or the crystal falls and busts in half, or you're supposed to give it to somebody else, and it almost feels like, well, that was helping me so much, and now I got to give it away, or now it's gone. It's
Yeah.
almost like mourning. Thank you so much for how you helped me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And I also love to think about how that bowl or that crystal or that, metaphysical object that was of such great service to me
Yeah.
is out there in the world being of service to another person.
Hmm.
So, I know where my bowls are. I know, yeah, where my crystals are when I feel complete with them. Um, so yeah, gifting them or selling them, or people adopt them, it activates something in them. So um, that's the sweetness in the sorrow.
Beautiful. So you mentioned like just knowing that like how a sound can feel good, but then the sound no longer feels good anymore.
Yeah.
And I've I've always been the type of person where if anything's too loud or just let's just say loud, ever since I was a kid, too loud, I would just like blow my top, just completely lose my mind. I still do it, to be perfectly honest. And I
Yeah.
feel like fear around going to a sound healing event because I worry that I'll be stuck there and someone will be playing something that doesn't feel good inside my body.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how can we? Because you had mentioned that you felt that it felt good before because it was healing, and then it didn't feel so good because you had healed it and you were working at a higher vibration, so that frequency didn't really work so well with your body anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you know if it feels uncomfortable because you don't need it, or it feels uncomfortable because you do need it and you're sitting in your stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Wow.
asking you? Like,
Yeah, I
I've
do. Yeah.
always had such a relationship with sound. I don't quite know how to manage it, but I do know if I turn it on my phone and I have full control over this feels good today or this doesn't, I just turn it on and off.
Mm-hmm.
But should I be listening to it if it doesn't feel good?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really powerful question. And I think it really provides the opportunity to have conversations about being a trauma informed practitioner, like
Okay.
across the board, and being a trauma informed sound healer and guide. Um, and what I support my sound experience guests with is the invitation to meet your body's needs above all else. And what I mean by that is the spaces that I create. Um, I always invite people to get up, to rise, to move their body, to seek support by giving me a signal of raising a hand or finding a way to connect with me in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And also the invitation to rise from your mat, or like I do at Wellington, we're in yoga swings suspended in the air for like the 0G experience. Um, the invitation is to rise, to move your body, to breathe, and to even leave if that is of service to the person receiving sound. And with my sound experiences, I have a support team that is with me so that they are like trained, informed, and know how to support people if they're having an activated experience in their central nervous system.
Okay.
Um, so if a person rises from my experiences and they go out of the room, um, one, I usually know if it's like they're going to the bathroom, right? If like they just need to take a break, they just,
They're
you
just
know,
walking slowly
they're
instead of
meeting. Yeah,
running.
right. Yeah, they're doing the funny
Yeah.
walk, and they usually look at me and they're like, "Sorry," and I'm like, "It's good, it's good." And that's the invitation I give to people at the beginning. I'm like, if you need to use the washroom, please get up and do it because you won't be able to focus,
Right.
right, or relax. So I can usually tell. And then my support team will go and check on that person. And it's not like rescuing or saving, but just being like, hey, how you doing? Is there
Mhm.
anything you need right now? And going from that place. Because sound can activate a lot for people. Um, Sound is the invitation to the body to begin to process stored emotion, to process experiences that they've had, right? When you're floating in that sort of liminal space, a lot of memories come up to be processed, and you're like, "Wow, I hadn't thought about that in years. Um, what was that about?" You know, and I get emails all the time after sound experiences, like, "Wow, I can't believe I thought about this thing. Like, thank you so much. It was really supportive to be able to clear that, right?" So memories not only are the opportunity to store memories come in through sound, the opportunity to clear memories through your body, through your biofield, right, through your emotional field, are there, and it's referred to as an emotional release. Yeah, an
So
emotional release.
how can
Yeah.
that present itself? Does it present itself the same as, like, sometimes people will, just they'll cry in order to shift.
Mm. Yeah.
Sometimes people's bodies will react and start to shake or twitch or do different things. Is
Yeah.
it the same kind of experience that way? What have you noticed with people who feel comfortable enough to get into that space?
Yeah. 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 So emotional releases, experience release through the body, yep, can come up in the form of crying, in the form of increased heart rate or increased breath. So they're breathing either more shallow or they actually begin to like yawn.
Mm.
In my psychic training and work that I've done over the years with Reiki, um, moving energy, people just begin to like yawn. Um, you know, their bodies are doing something very specific, and it's they're clearing carbon dioxide from their cells. This is a place where cellular healing, you know, when you hear people being like, oh, come to a sound bath, you'll have cellular healing,
Mhm.
right? This is your cells actually have like these little mini tuning forks on them that like pick up energy, and they know when it's time to do some healing, regeneration. And the body just responds to that. So they're like, hey, great, it's healing time. We're going to yawn. We're going to bring in fresh air. We're going to release all this gunk in our system. And we're doing something on a biological level as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, yawning, crying, even just like weeping, it's like you begin to move the energy in your body through your limbic system. And tears are supported by the limbic system. Sorry, not limbic system, lymphatic system,
Mhm.
right? Um, and yeah, it's wild. It's wild the ways that people can process. So the shaking can be common, or like, you know, someone's foot will just start to like rattle, or their hands will rise and sort of like levitate from their body.
Mhm.
Um, and and one of the most common ways I see people go into a state of healing, emotional release, is actually to go to sleep. People get to a place and they're like, they come in and they're wired, man. They're like thinking about all the emails, all the
All the
grocery
things.
lists, what they're doing after, their kids, you know, oh my gosh, I turned the oven off, like all these things that the central nervous system sort of brings up to like um, keep us in a state of safety. it's like a switch. Once that sound wave comes in and there's like 10, 15 minutes of it, people just go, and they go through those brainwave states, right? They go into theta and then they go out. And they are literally in a state of sleep, deep rest, deep restoration for 20, 30 minutes. And we are doing deep emotional healing, deep cellular healing, regeneration when we're sleeping. So I
Is
think
that
emotion.
delta?
Pardon?
Is that delta?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah. I
Just
mean,
curious.
we can check and do a
Mm-mm.
little follow up.
I was just curious.
But yeah, yeah. So emotional processing, memory processing, experience processing is expressed um, through these releases that we see, right? We talked about crying, yawning, shaking, um, breath, and um,
Sleeping.
sleeping. Yeah, sleeping. And so I was just trying to sort of recall if I had anything more unique, not more unique, but, to add to that. But yeah, those are the most common.
Okay.
Um,
What I'm
yeah,
getting is dependent on how your body is reacting, how you're showing up for yourself, how the sound is making you feel, that it's all about honoring what you need at that time and trusting like your intuition and how you're feeling to just like support yourself that way.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I think to go back to that place of speaking to being a trauma informed practitioner, it's letting the people know that you're supporting um, what may come up, like what they can possibly expect, or you know, just set that framework, right? Set that container, like hold them, and in holding them, miracles and possibilities happen. And they have trust. They have a sense of trust in that person who's sharing sound with them. And as a sound healer, it's not about me, right? It's about the collective consciousness of the group. It's about the individual that I'm there to support. And um, you know, I'm a high intuitive. I'm a high sensory processing person. Um, I feel deeply and I know, see, feel, and sense a lot about people. And they don't have to tell me,
Mhm.
right? So it's a transmission that comes through to be of service to those people. So if I activate my gong and my body is like, oh no, 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 I put that gong away.
So you can feel and read the room basically on how
Yeah,
everybody else is. Because there's
yeah.
got to be a fine line. If you've got 8 or 10 people in a room,
Mm-hmm.
like if you must be very sensitive in order to pick up on everybody and find a happy balance. But I guess trusting in the fact that everybody who's there is there for a reasonable healing situation on like a similar level. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been drawn to be there anyway, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like these experiences people come to for a reason, whether that's just curiosity in the beginning. And then on the other side of it, they're like, wow, that was
This is
like,
my jam.
yeah, that was my jam. That's everything I needed. Even people who book, 3 or 4 months in advance, which happens, and they show up and they're going through a really big thing in life. And that sound bath um, is of service and support to them in a way that they had no idea, right? That it could have possibly been that way when they booked it, in advance.
Right.
So yeah, it's wild. Like, I'll share my dad just passed in April, and my beloved animal passed a week before that, and it was my birthday in the middle, and it
Holy,
was it was hard. It
that's
was
a lot.
really hard. Yeah. And then I had a sound bath like a week later, and
Mhm.
I had no idea how I was going to do it. I was like, I don't know if I can hold myself together. What's gonna come up for me, right? Can I
Mhm.
support these people? And is this the right thing to do? And it was a very clear message like, yep, right. Like you can go through, this is here, divine timing. Life isn't always easy, but there's a lot of beauty that can come through, right? In those hard times.
Mhm.
And I showed up for that sound bath, and the number of people that came to me afterwards and told me about um, the experiences that they were having with death and dying and grief and loss, it was like 8 out of 10 people.
Wow.
No
So
joke.
everybody was going through similar experience to what you were,
Yeah.
and of course, you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And
so
just
you're
how sound
healing
was
and
a
they're
service.
healing, and everybody's doing their thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think
Absolutely.
a lot, again, miracles, possibilities, magic, connection, healing, community. That's the heart of sound healing for me. And so, yeah, I think going back to like my sound journey and how it started, sound came in for me first. It came to be of service and support to me, and I fell in love, and I've been an absolute devotion and obsession to it for the past 7 years. And now it feels so beautiful to be able to show up and share sound with other people,
Hmm.
to invite them into an experience that they can, yeah, have restorative rest. They can just, I call it adult napping with intention, right? Because sometimes that's just what we need. We just need to
Yeah,
have an adult nap, a
daily.
really, really good one. And sometimes it's to help process grief and loss. Sometimes it's to celebrate life. Sometimes it's, gosh, I don't know, to bring in a consciousness for creativity, right?
Could be
So,
anything, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the possibilities for sound, I think, are really endless, and holding people in a place that they can feel safety, security, trust from the practitioner, from the space that they're in. That's why I love Wellington so much, because it has the energy, it has the frequency, it has the vibration that can hold something like that for people. And not all spaces can do that.
Right.
I don't just pop into any like yoga studio or wellness studio and be like, hey, I'm going to have a sound bath here. Sometimes it's like, absolutely not. Right. So
Yeah.
it's layered. It's layered.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
You've been with us for a couple of years now, haven't you?
Yeah. I think this was my third year, and I'll be back again next October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excited to have you back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. That was a sweet and sorrowful day. I was like, wow, this is my third season here, and I take a break in the summertime to hold some outdoor events and just to kind of do some playfulness for
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, it's absolutely a joy to be at Wellington.
We're happy to have you.
Yeah.
So, question for the people who might be afraid, like people
Hmm.
who feel that, sound might be the thing for them. They'd like to try it, but they're unsure, or they just don't feel safe because they don't know who you are or who the practitioner might be.
Yeah.
What, like coming from your background and finding that sound and being like, holy crap, I'm home. I feel
Yeah.
safe. I can do this. How or what do you suggest people do to kind of get to that point? Because not a lot of people can just go and try and feel comfortable with like, oh, I don't feel good enough in here right now. I'm going to honor myself and leave the room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. Um, that's a big question.
It is a big
Um,
question.
yeah, that is a big question. I think I'll speak from like a place of experience for myself, and also like for me as a person that would seek support, and also for the way I've experienced other people coming to me. Um, it's resonance. I really, really believe that it's intuition, it's curiosity, and it's slowness as well. So what I mean by that is like, um, go to people's websites, go to their social media pages, send them a message, right? Be like, hey, I'm curious. and see how they respond.
Mm-hmm.
See how it feels in your body. Explore the offerings and like the thought or practice of like registering for an event, right? And just check in each time. And there's that invitation there, there's that curiosity there, and find a way to meet your needs. I always welcome like emails or phone calls. I love voice transmissions. So a lot of people reach out to me on Instagram, and I don't type a response. I speak a response, and I use the little voice note option.
That's very neat.
Because it's we are the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
We are the transmission that people are seeking. And people are going to know, I think, when they have that connection, um, if it's for them or not. And it
Mm-hmm.
might even take them a couple times, right? And some people just know right away. So I think it's honoring our intuition, honoring our senses, and practicing safety, security, and trust with that person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
And
and then for
is it stepping
okay.
too far to ask a sound healer to hear an example of what they would be offering? Because I guess everybody kind of records different things and has different like videos and stuff on Instagram or YouTube or different things, do they not?
Yeah, they
No.
do. And the the funky thing about sound healing and sound instruments is that regular microphones don't pick up the true frequency of the instrument.
That's true.
So today I'm talking on a professional quality vocal mic, um, and it'll sound different speaking into this microphone versus speaking into the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it can just pick up so much more. So once you activate a crystal bowl, the microphones on cell phones and on laptops literally cannot pick up that frequency, and it'll
So
just
it's
be
not the same.
silent. You can't
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the stuff you see on YouTube or Instagram, I mean, on my Instagram, like I just use cell phone quality, sound, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not as rich. It's not as resonant. It
So
doesn't
you
pick
won't
up the
feel it. You
frequency.
won't actually get the frequency feeling out of it.
Yeah, and you may not even be able to fully hear the instrument. So one thing that um, may be available is that they can send you a little sound bite of what they do, but if they don't have the gear for it and they don't know how to set up their tech for it, then it's a barrier, I think, for a lot of sound healers to be able to truly share their sound unless it is an in-person experience.
So it'll give you a
Um,
little bit of an idea, but you would have to go and experience it in real life to get the full like healing or the full experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
that's
So
good to know. That's
yeah,
good to
it's
know.
a tricky one. And I don't always recommend people go to YouTube, especially for my perspective, like what feels good in my body. I actually
Mm-hmm.
didn't find a lot on YouTube that was felt good to me. I actually get kind of agitated and annoyed.
Hmm.
My central nervous system is like, absolutely not. So whether that's the person who's transmitting it, whether it's the frequency, I don't know. Um, but yeah, I'm selective about what I put into my system from an auditory standpoint because I am a high sensory processing person. So like
Right.
you, loud noises, bright lights. You didn't say bright lights, but I'm saying bright
Well,
lights
but it is a thing.
is a thing. Yeah, yeah. So I'm very selective about what I input around me. So it's not an easy answer or solution necessarily, but um, the compass is what feels good in your body.
Mm-hmm.
What feels good when you hear that person's voice? What feels good when you read what they write about their offerings, and how they respond to you through a digital connection, right?
Right. I do like that you send voice notes because you sing too. You use your voice in your
Mhm.
sessions, do you not? Do all sound healers use their voices, or is that something that everybody, aspires to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not all sound healers sing. Um, for me, I've been obsessed with singing since I was a young person. Um, I lived in a really remote area of BC, Ucluelet Tofino area in the
Beautiful.
90s. Yeah. And it was a bit of a hard go for me out there. And I remember like walking through the forest, just like vocal sounding, so expressing emotion through sound. I wasn't trained. I, actually was told on multiple occasions when I tried out for choir, that I wasn't good enough, and that was devastating to me. They put me in like the trumpet section of the orchestra, and I was like, "This is horrible. It's not what I want." And I was just like, every time I tried to sing or learn to sing, I just met roadblocks and barriers, and I knew how good it felt in my body to sing and to sound, and I just did it anyways. And so I don't have any musical training necessarily, but I love to sing. I love to sound. Um, it makes me feel like how I felt when I picked up those tuning forks.
Mhm.
And so, actually, this is a great segue to share that I am now going on a like life adventure that is beyond my comprehension, even currently.
I was going to
In
ask you about it.
September, I know, right? In
Yep.
September this year, I'm going to go to Spain, to Alicante, Spain, to do a 3 week immersive sound healing and sound therapist certification, to really do a deep dive into becoming the instrument to expressing my heart and emotions through sound, and to really like level up in all that I want to express and share through sound.
That's very
Um,
exciting.
yeah, I'm like, it's not even really real yet.
It will be in September.
It will be in September,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I love to sing. I sing from an emotional place. Um, Sounding, I think, would really be more of a description, right? So the energy of the room. Where are we at? Are we in like those deep emotions that people are opening energetically to move, and I sense that, and then I sound those emotions, and I use a frame drum. I don't have it in my sound studio with me right now,
Mhm.
but it's like any type of frame drum, kind of looks like a giant moon, really. And I sing into that, to create a depth and reverberation, and it's kind of like a haunting sound, actually. Um, very
That's
moody.
what that's what
Yeah.
sound feels like, though, right?
Yeah.
It's that resonance that you feel, not necessarily hear at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is my absolute heart's desire to get to a place, in sound healing, that I can um, share my voice, from a place of confidence, because it freaks me out every time I do it. Like, terrifies me.
Yeah, sounds like the things that come out of your mouth and sounds you make, people judge you for that stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
also clearing judgments for myself. Right. No more self-sacrifice, no more self-judgment, no more, critique, criticism, clearing that energy, and that story from people who've told me throughout my life, well, you can't sing, your voice isn't good enough, you
Right.
know, you sing flat, or you sing sharp, or you sing this, or blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not my story. That's someone else's.
Yeah.
And this trip to Spain, I think, is going to be the next level of clearing that and healing that, and being surrounded by people whose life purpose and mission is to sing and to feel absolutely 100% alive through their voice. And that's really, um, I think, what I'm looking for and what
I
I
think
want to bring in.
that feels to me like it plays into life purpose or even soul purpose, that we are not necessarily here for everybody. We are only here for the people that we're supposed to be here for. And so if everybody who's ever told you that you couldn't sing, you weren't here for them. Your
Yeah.
voice and your sound was not here for them, but it will be here for you. And that's why, you feel so secure in yourself or are working on it.
Oh, working on
And,
it every
you
day.
know, for all the people that show up to all of your sound baths and hear your voice, I mean, your voice is for them. So it's going to sound beautiful to them,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Thank you for
trusting in
saying
that, I
that.
guess. So then
Yeah.
people can use their voice and use their sound to express their emotion too. Because I
Yes.
remember during my theta healing training, we did the heart song. And when you're feeling pain, the sound that's coming out is not beautiful.
Hmm.
It sounds like a dying animal sometimes.
Yeah.
But then when you keep processing and letting that sound come out and letting it be as loud as it needs to be, and if you're releasing at the same time, um, then all of a sudden it gets to this like quiet, you know, perfect sound, however
Hmm.
that is for your body. And I found that I was very self-conscious with the sound that was coming out of me. But then when I hit that point where I felt that I had released enough, the sound that I was making was absolutely beautiful. And I felt good inside, and I felt like I was okay. I can stop now. I
Hmm.
can be okay with myself and just sit in this comfort.
Yeah.
How can people do that for themselves if they're exploring sound and sound feels like something for them? Just, go into the bathroom and turn the fan on and just let her rip, or what do
I love that you said that, because actually one of my favorite places to sing is in the bathroom. Um,
it bounces back at you, doesn't
yeah, yeah.
it? Yeah.
Finding a place that you can just go and be in privacy, I think, is a really great place to begin. So, um, yeah, if you like to walk and you can get into the forest, go sing to the trees.
Hmm.
They are waiting for you. They want to hear that song, and they are there to receive it and to support with healing. Sing in the water. If you like to have a bath or the shower, do that. The elements that are available to us as human beings. The earth and the wind and the water and the fire, they can create a really beautiful, beautiful space. They'll hold you while
Hmm.
you sing. So sing, light a candle, sing to that candle. Be in the water, sing in the water. Um, Go out on a rainy day and just sing. Sound doesn't matter what comes out. Um, it's a practice of presence, really. That's how I feel. Being in presence with all that is currently, and um, being vulnerable, moving through fear,
Yeah.
right? Fear of self judgment, fear of like, oh my God, someone's going to hear me.
Right.
Like, what are they going to think? What they're going to judge me? All the things, right? Find a place that you feel good,
Yeah.
and start from there. And then I welcome anyone listening to this to reach out to me, ask questions. I With the training in Spain, this is exactly what I'm doing. As I'm going there to be supported to become a sound therapist, to become a sound healing facilitator, and also again to do the healing I need as a human being, as a woman, to be able to embody that, to then hold others in that experience so they can move through it. So get curious, be playful, have fun, create the container of safety for yourself, give yourself what you need, um, and then just step forward and do it, because we have one life in
Hmm.
this body, and this is the time. And that is something that I have learned from my teachers over the years, and and through all the pain and difficulty that I've had as a human being on this planet right now, it's worth the risk. The bunny quotations risk, right? It's
The risk of being
yeah,
heard.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is unlike any other feeling I've ever had in my life. And I've had a lot of feelings. And
Yeah.
this is the best one. This is the best one. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story with us today. It's hard to put it out there sometimes, but we really appreciate, because I do feel that a lot of people sound is very it's overlooked. It's not
Mm.
something that is very mainstream, and I feel that a lot more people should try it, and
Mm-hmm.
including myself. But
Hey.
yeah, thank you again for being here with us. We will put all your contact information in the episode bio, so if anybody does want to reach out and
Yeah.
touch base with Jessica, then they'll be able to do so. And again, she'll be back in Wellington Natural Health offering her sound baths in October, so we'll have that posted. But otherwise, maybe we'll have you back when you get back from your training and
Thank
tell
you.
us all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to come in and share my experience about that, and also
Yeah.
even just do a little, maybe just do a little demo, right? How
Yeah.
people can get in touch with their heart song, their soul song, and just dip their toe in the waters and see what happens.
That sounds beautiful. So I just
Yeah,
have one more question for you.
yeah.
What does wellness mean to you, Jessica?
Oh gosh. Mm. I believe that wellness for me is a state of being, and it's not necessarily a state of doing.
Mm,
Um, it's how.
that explains itself. That is perfect, just the way it is.
All right. I'll keep it short and sweet then.
No,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.